You're listening to the 32nd edition of the Bitachon podcast, and we're going to continue where we left off in the Madrigas Adam. If a person strengthens his service of Hashem, and he chooses to serve Hashem, and he trusts in Hashem when it comes to all the matters of his Torah and his world. Interesting language, his world, be referring to the true world, MS, or could be referring to the physical realm. A person turns away from things that are negative. And he desires good attributes. So then he is not going to reject serenity. He's not going to be inclined towards this kind of serenity. I think what he means is that the person is not more... It's so easy for a person to be more concerned about having the good life, the easy life. You know, I'll have money, I'll have everything I need, then I'll learn. This person is not being carried by his Yetzer Hara, by his evil inclination. He's not being drawn into the magic of the world. Yistalik me'olav toirach hagilgul hasibu v'avoz tarpoi. So such a person, he gets himself out. He escapes from all of the troubles, the difficulties, the challenges. A person puts himself in this to so much heartache, causes himself so much heartache. Why? In order to make a buck. Because how does a person get out of this? It's by taking off two aspects. Right? The way is by recognizing, being mavchin, understanding, it's Hashem. And a person rejects the need for everything to be perfect. What's the result? So a person, it's counterintuitive. A person thinks, look, in order for me to get what I need, I gotta push my way through. I gotta white knuckle it. I gotta put in the maximum ishtadlus, the maximum efforts. But that's not true. It's actually the other way around. If a person has true bitachon, he realizes he can be relaxed. He can be chilled out. Doesn't have to work so hard. Hashem is going to... The person anyway, it's determined for him on Rosh Hashanah, on Yom Kippur, what's going to be this year. Person's going to be healthy. Person's going to have parnasa. Person's going to have his needs met. He's going to get what he needs. The pasuk says in Mishlei, Lo yariv Hashem nefesh tzadik, that Hashem does not cause a soul of a righteous individual to be hungry. You see, now we say it every day when we bench. Right? Hashem takes care of the tzaddik. What does that mean? When a person has a true relationship with HaKadosh Baruch Hu, when a person recognizes that it's Hashem who's giving him his parnasa, that's tzidkus. That's also, the word tzedek means righteousness, but it also means honesty. Tzedek tirda, if you're supposed to seek after righteousness. And what's the truth? What's the honest truth? That it's not us. We're not doing it. We're not the ones who are bringing about our own salvation. It's only Hashem who gives us what we need. He determines what we need. He also puts the ideas in our heads. But also He can send it in so many different ways. Because of Rambam, Seif Hilchas Shmita V'Yovel, the Rambam writes the classic statement, amazing, deep idea. It's so important to understand. And he writes this at the end of the halachas of Shemitah and Yovel. V'lo shevet Levi bilvad. It's not only the tribe of Levi, right? We know the Torah has a special obligation for us to give Meiser, Truma, to the Kohanim, to the Levim, to the priests, the Levites. But the Rambam tells us that it's not just them. They're not the only ones who live with a gift of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, a direct gift. Every single person who comes into the world, as my Rosh Hashiva says, you could be somebody who's not even Jewish. Anybody, any human being who comes into the world, whose heart has, you feel it You feel it, like this is the right thing to do. And his intellect helps him to understand all that we've been speaking about here in the Bitachon podcast. That what? That I want to go, he's not just talking about Bitachon, he's talking about a person who truly is a real seeker. He really wants to have a relationship with HaKadosh Baruch Hu. He really wants to be spiritual. And he wants to separate himself from the world. He wants to serve Hashem, he wants to know Hashem. And he wants to go straight in the way that Hashem made him. Right? Every single person is born with a certain innate sense of spirituality, of godliness. We're all born with that. Even the person who's the farthest away from HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Chas v'Shalom, there's something inside of him that says, hey, I don't believe in God because God shouldn't have done this. It shouldn't be this way. There's an innate sense of how it should be. Meaning the person who doesn't believe in God really believes in God. But, so a person comes back to his core belief. A person comes back to that truth that he knows inside. He took off from his shoulders the heavy yoke of all of the cheshbonos. What do you mean? I'm supposed to have bitachon? I got to feed my family. I got to do this ishtadlus. I got to do that ishtadlus. No. Forget all the cheshbonos. Forget all of your calculations about how you're going to find it, how the money's going to come. A person who says, I'm gonna put it all aside, and I'm going to focus. What is my purpose? My purpose is to serve Hashem, to have a real relationship with HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Such a person who separates himself and enters into a true relationship with HaKadosh Baruch Hu, that person becomes the Holy of Holies. Hashem will be his portion and his inheritance forever. He will get in this world whatever he needs. Just like Hashem gave a special obligation to the Jewish people to give matanis to the priests and to the Levites, so too HaKadosh Baruch Hu is going to make sure that the person who has dedicated himself to avodas Hashem, to serving Hashem, to being a ben Torah, focusing on learning, focusing on spirituality, that's kol kula, his entire essence is that such a person becomes the Holy of Holies. Hashem takes special care of him. King David says, and it's not just obviously for King David, but it's for anybody. What's the word? How do you become like King David? How do you become like a Kohen or Levi? The Rambam tells us, based on the pasuk in Tehillim, it says, Hashem is my portion and my cup. You are the one who supports me in my lot in life. See over there the Rambam. This is the Madregas Adam. Alter of Novardok says, we see clearly a person who is on a very high level, and any one of us can choose to be on this level, who has decided to give himself over completely to serving Hashem. And by the way, you can serve Hashem anywhere. You can serve Hashem in your business. You can serve Hashem when you're selling diamonds. You can serve Hashem when you're making dinner for your kids. You can serve Hashem when you're singing a song. So such a person, who can give himself over completely to serving Hashem, he's talking about here a ben Torah, a person who dedicates his life to Torah learning, to teaching, etc. And he completely empties out his heart of all of the concerns of the world. Nothing to worry about. Such a person, the Rambam himself makes it clear, does not require any hishtadlus. You don't need to worry about where it's going to come from. Hashem will be his portion. Hashem will provide him in this world with what he needs, just like Hashem provided and provides the Kohanim, the Levim. So we see that anyone, it's very interesting because classically when we think of the Rambam, his shita often is very straightforward. Torah derech eretz, learning Torah with side by side. The Rambam was a doctor, right? We think of the Rambam, but he makes it very clear that anyone can choose mikol b'olam, Anyone can choose to dedicate his life to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and such a person will receive incredible siyata d'shmaya, incredible heavenly assistance to be able to accomplish and to be able to receive his needs without any efforts. Ube'emes navakish makor l'divrei Rambam. The truth is, if we look for a source, where does the Rambam get this from? It's explicit in the Torah, Pasuk, in the verse. It says in Bamidbar, Parak Dal Pasuk Ches, Al tachrisu shevet mishpachas hakehasi mitach halavim. Do not cut off the tribe of the family of Kahas from amidst the Levites. The Medrash tells us like this: Al tachrisu shevet halevi v'gomer. Do not cut off this shevet halevi. It says shevet mishpachas hakehasi. Do not cut off the tribe of the Levites. Hado dichsiv hinei en Hashem al yirayov. And it brings the verse which says, God's eyes are to those who fear Him, to save them from death. This is a reference, says the Medrash, to the tribe of Levi, who their eyes are towards God. Their eyes are hoping towards God for His kindness. What? Only the Levites have their eyes towards God, waiting for God's assistance? It's more, the tribe of Levi has more of a need to turn towards God. Why? Because they don't have an inheritance in the land of Israel. All the other tribes, right? There are 13 tribes in the Jewish people, because Yosef splits up into two, Menashe and Ephraim. And so whenever we count Yosef as two, we don't count Levi. So Levi didn't get any particular piece of land. They had portions throughout the land of Israel, but Eliyahu Mispalm Shatasa Eretz Yisrael Peraseh, what do? What's the Levi's job? His job is to pray that Eretz Yisrael, all the other tribes should succeed, and the fruits should be produced. In this way, they'll be able to get their meister, they'll be able to get their tithe. All they have is the kindness of Hashem. Beautiful thing. So since they're the ones who turn to Hashem, Hashem looks at those who turn to Him. So those who, the commentaries, they ask a question, they explain. You look at the verse, it doesn't refer to the tribe of Levi, it refers to the family of Kahas. Why does the Medrash talk about not cutting off the tribe of Levi? That's not what it says in the Pasuk. So they want to change the language, they want to change the Medrash and fix it so it shouldn't say as Shevet HaLevi, but rather should say Mishpachas HaKahasi. Ulam, however, according to what we're saying, specifically according to what the Rambam says, it's not necessary to change it at all. The truth is that we could ask a simple question. How could it be that the Torah wrote, do not cut off the family of Kahas from amidst the Levites? It sounds like they will never be cut off forever. If we think about it, we can't talk about the Avodah, the special service of the Levites carrying the parts of the Beis Hamikdash, of the temple, of the Mishkan. It doesn't exist anymore. What's going on? I'm sorry, I skipped. This is what they meant. This is why they said Shevet HaLevi instead of referring to the family of Kahas, but rather referring to the tribe of the Levites. Because the tribe of Levi and what they represent will never be disconnected. It will never be lost. Even if we don't have a Mishkan, we don't have a specific service of the Levites, but the role of the Levites, the role of the Levium will remain forever. Even though their specific service in the Mishkan is gone. And it's about this, says the Madriga Salam, says the Alter of Novardok, that this is what they said. This is what we mean when it says, This is what it says when the verse says, the eyes of those who fear Hashem, the eye of Hashem is upon those who fear Him, those who are waiting. We're waiting for His kindness. Zenek b'shem Levi. This is called in the name of Levi, and I must say, because as I read this, the Levites were the singers, and I'll tell you from my experience that in music, you don't always know where the money's going to come from, right? The famous thing of the starving musician. It's not a consistent source of income. I don't know when I'm going to have a job. I don't know when they're going to call and hire me. I don't know when, there could be something, a virus could come along into the world and make it impossible to have simchas. But that's the nature of the Levi, the singer, the musician. That's the nature of our job. The nature of our job is we have to depend on HaKadosh Baruch Hu for our income. Because of Rambam, Levi Levad. The Rambam writes, this isn't just the tribe of Levi. Anybody can come into this category. Anybody whose heart draws him, pulls him, says to him, I want to be somebody who's spiritual. I want to be somebody who's a Yirei Hashem, who fears God. I want to be someone who's miyachel lechazdei, who depends on His kindness. Anybody can be that person. Shirak Hashem hu nachalasei. Then the result is what? Such a person takes on the mantle of Shevet Levi. He takes on the mantle, that identity of the tribe of the Levites. And Hashem becomes his portion. That can be any time. It could be even at a time when there's no service of Hashem in the Beis Hamikdash, in the temple, in the Mishkan. It's completely dependent upon us. And that's why it says, do not cut them off. You yourselves don't disconnect from the essence of who is the tribe of Levi. I'm sorry. Don't allow the Levites to be disconnected. What does that mean? It depends on you not to disconnect it. All you have to do is have a desire to come close to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. You know that He's the one that gives whatever you need. He's the one whose eternal kindness is there waiting to be poured out on you. All you got to do is want it. All you have to do is want that connection. All right, this is where we're going to stop on Medrugis. And I want to mention a few things. Number one is that Baruch Hashem consistently, there are two groups, a group of women meeting every week, a group of men meeting every single week, discussing Bitachon, working on Bitachon. The men's group is meeting through Zoom, and the women's group is meeting on the phone. And there's nothing like working on Bitachon together with a group. That is number one, and I encourage whoever's watching this to join the group, create your own group, work on Bitachon together. This is a special time we're in right now, unusual time, a time of uncertainty, and anybody can access Bitachon. That's what he's saying. Anybody can access Bitachon. The Levi didn't know what's going to be, and we're all Levim today. We don't know what's going to be. So this is an important time to be working on Bitachon. Just marking off my book where we're up to. And that's number one. And number two is that Bezrat Hashem, I'm planning to start putting out a series on Bitachon from my Rosh Hashiva, from Rabbi Per, where he goes through Madregas Adam as well. It's a series from 2016 to 2017, I believe. Very powerful series. And you may be aware that he has a sefer called Faith Over Fear, where he goes through the sefer. That was based on a series that he had done in the year 2000, which I was zeicha to be present for. This is a newer series. He's done it a number of times, and each time it gets better and better. And so look out for it. I plan to put it up on Torah Anytime. I plan to put it up on my YouTube channel. So look out for that. Rabbi Chiel Per, his series. And I encourage you to reach out to become part of our group. You can send an email to thebitachongroup@gmail.com or to my email, arigoldwag@gmail.com. Thank you so much for listening. And bonit chazek biyachad, let's strengthen ourselves together, continue to work on our bitachon.